Picture a sun-soaked road, wind tearing through your hair, and a V8's growl shaking your core. That's the soul of an American convertible, raw, free, and unapologetic. These drop tops aren't just cars, they're legends that define freedom and power. From muscle car rebels to luxury icons, here's our countdown of the top 10 American convertibles ever built. Buckle up for a ride through history. 1953, Chevrolet Corvette, C1 convertible. The Corvette roared to life in 1953, born from Harley Earl's dream at GM. Inspired by GIs returning from World War II with sleek MGs and Jaguars, it was America's answer to European sports cars. Its 150 horsepower inline-six was modest, but the fiberglass body turned heads. Only 300 were made that first year, now fetching over $100,000 at auction. Parked at post-war car shows, it drew crowds of veterans dreaming of open-road freedom. The C1 wasn't just a car, it was a symbol of America's bold new era, kicking off a sports car revolution. 1957 Ford Thunderbird convertible. Ford's 1957 Thunderbird threw a punch at the Corvette. Bigger and flashier, its 312 cubic inch V8, boosted by a McCulloch/Paxton supercharger, churned out up to 340 horsepower. Unveiled at the 1954 Detroit Auto Show, it racked up 3,500 orders in 10 days. By 1955, 16,155 T-Birds hit the road, many driven by young hot rodders tearing up drag strips. Its chrome-heavy design and plush interior starred in 1950s ads, capturing post-war prosperity. Though production ended in 2005, the T-Bird's legacy lives on, a glamorous icon of American swagger. 1957 Chevrolet Bel Air convertible. The 57 Chevy Bel Air is pure 1950s cool. Its sweeping fenders, chrome tail fins, and bold curves scream style. A 283 cubic inch V8 delivered 283 horsepower and 290 pound-feet of torque, making it a drag strip darling. Elvis Presley owned one, cementing its pop culture status alongside rock and roll. Beloved by teens cruising drive-ins, it embodied the era's optimism. Well-preserved Bel Airs now fetch six figures, their leather seats and restrained fins still stealing the show at car meets. This isn't just a car, it's a time machine to a golden age. 1959 Cadillac Eldorado convertible. The 1959 Cadillac Eldorado was excess on wheels. Its massive tail fins, dual bullet taillights, and bold grille screamed wealth. The 390 cubic inch V8 pumped out 345 horsepower, perfect for cruising Hollywood Boulevard. Featured in films like Pillow Talk, it became a Tinseltown icon, driven by stars chasing glamour. Only 1,320 convertibles were built, now selling for $150,000 or more. Virgil Exner's sleek redesign captured the peak of 1950s prosperity when America dreamed big. Roll down the top, and you're living the high life, commanding every road. 1961 Lincoln Continental convertible. The 1961 Lincoln Continental redefined luxury with clean lines and rear-hinge suicide doors. Its 430 cubic inch V8 delivered 300 horsepower, moving its massive frame with ease. Famously used as JFK's presidential limo, it carried him through history's darkest moment, etching its place in America's heart. It also starred in Goldfinger, adding cinematic swagger. Only 2,857 convertibles were made, now fetching over $200,000. Spacious yet elegant, it was built for leaders and dreamers. This Continental isn't just a car, it's a symbol of 1960s ambition. 1962 Shelby Cobra, convertible Carroll Shelby took a British AC Ace and jammed in a Ford 260 cubic inch V8, creating the 1962 Shelby Cobra. Later models hit 425 horsepower, dominating tracks like Le Mans. Only about 1,000 were built from 1962 to 1967, with convertibles being the most coveted. Its raw power made it a drag strip terror, while its sleek look caught Hollywood's eye in films like The Italian Job. Original Cobras now fetch millions, a testament to Shelby's genius. This wasn't just a car, It was a revolution, blending American muscle with racing pedigree. 1965 Pontiac GTO convertible. The 1965 Pontiac GTO ignited the muscle car wars. Its 389 cubic inch V8 unleashed 360 horsepower, hitting 0 to 60 miles per hour in under 6 seconds. Beefy brakes and dual anti-sway bars made it a corner-carving beast. Young rebels raced GTOs on drag strips, defining 1960s youth culture. Pontiac sold 75,352 in 1965, with convertibles now fetching $80,000 or more. Its stacked headlights and aggressive stance screamed defiance, appearing in films like Two-Lane Blacktop. The GTO wasn't just a car, it was the sound of a generation breaking free. 1965 Ford Mustang convertible. The Mustang galloped into history in 1964, and the 1965 convertible was its crown jewel. Its long hood, short deck, and 289 cubic inch V8 with 271 horsepower defined the pony car. Michelin tires added grip for drag strip sprints, where Mustangs became legends. Over 400,000 sold in its first year, hitting 1 million by 1966, a record rivaling the Ford Model A. Star of Bullitt and countless car shows, it's America's sweetheart. Pristine 65 convertibles fetch $50,000, but their cultural impact is priceless. The Mustang is freedom itself. 1967 International Scout 800 Sport, top convertible. The International Scout 800 Sport Top, launched in 1966, brought drop-top flair to rugged adventures. Its 304 cubic inch V8 delivered 193 horsepower, tackling trails or city streets. Bucket seats and optional rear seats with air conditioning added comfort for post-war explorers craving freedom. Only a fraction of the 45,000 Scout 800s were convertibles, now selling for $40,000 to $60,000. Featured in off-road documentaries, it resonated with Vietnam-era adventurers seeking escape. The Scout wasn't just a vehicle, it was a ticket to the wild, unfiltered American spirit. 1970 Plymouth Barracuda Hemi convertible. The 1970 Plymouth Barracuda Hemi convertible is the holy grail. Its 426 cubic inch Hemi 5.8 unleashed 425 horsepower, ruling drag strips nationwide. Only 14 Hemi convertibles were built, with 9 staying in the U.S., making it insanely rare. The E-body platform gave it a wide, menacing stance, perfect for street racing's golden age. Featured in car chase scenes like Vanishing Point, it became a muscle car icon. Today, these beasts can exceed $2 million at auction. The Hemi Cuda isn't just a car, it's the pinnacle of American rebellion. These cars are more than machines. They're American stories. From soldiers cruising home in Corvettes to Mustangs chasing glory in Bullitt, they shaped culture. They burned rubber on drag strips, carried presidents, and defined eras of optimism and rebellion. Convertibles aren't practical. They're passionate, built for the open road and the thrill of freedom. Collectors hunt them, enthusiasts worship them. Whether on Route 66 or gleaming at a car show, these drop tops keep America's car culture alive. What's your dream convertible? Ever raced a GTO or spotted a Hemi Cuda in the wild? Share your story in the comments. Love this ride through history? Hit that subscribe button for more car content. Let's keep the open-top spirit roaring.
When you think muscle cars, Europe isn't the first place that comes to mind. You're thinking Camaro, Mustang, Challenger, American iron that ruled the streets. But what if European engineers were cooking up their own brand of automotive fury? These aren't prissy sports cars. They're European torque monsters with raw power and serious attitude. Today, we're counting down the top 10 European muscle cars that prove muscle isn't just American. By the end, you'll question everything you thought you knew about European iron. Ford Capri 3.0S. Starting our list with Britain's answer to the Mustang, the Ford Capri 3.0S. Now, before you say Ford's American, remember this beauty was designed and built in Europe specifically for European tastes. Under that aggressive hood sits a 3.0-liter Essex V6, pumping out 138 horsepower. Okay, that might not sound earth-shattering by today's standards, but in 1978, this thing was a proper street warrior. The Capri had that classic long hood, short deck muscle car proportions, rear-wheel drive, and an exhaust note that could wake the dead. Ford called it the car you always promised yourself. And damn if they weren't right. This wasn't just transportation. It was pure automotive theater. The fact that it dominated European touring car racing for years just proves this machine had serious bite to back up its bark. Opel Monza GSE. Here's a German muscle car most Americans have never heard of, and that's a damn shame. The Opel Monza GSE packed a 3.0-liter inline-six that cranked out 180 horsepower. Serious power for the early 80s. But here's what made it special. This thing was essentially a European Corvette competitor, with sleek coupe styling, rear-wheel drive, and handling that could embarrass cars costing twice as much. The GSE stood for Grand Sport Einspritzung, basically German for "we're not messing around." With its aggressive front spoiler, flared fenders, and that distinctly 80s wedge shape, the Monza looked like it was doing 100 mph standing still. Jaguar XKR X100. The Jaguar XKR took everything beautiful about the XK8 and gave it a shot of pure adrenaline. That supercharged 4.0-liter V8 under the hood? It unleashed 370 horsepower and 387 lb-ft of torque through a glorious exhaust system that sounded like automotive angels singing opera. This wasn't some delicate British sports car. This was a full-on grand touring muscle machine that could hit 60 mph in under 5 seconds while looking absolutely stunning doing it. The mesh grille, vented hood, and those gorgeous 18-inch wheels gave it an aggressive stance that screamed performance. But here's the kicker, it was still refined enough to cruise across Europe in absolute comfort. TVR Cigaris. If you want to talk about unhinged British engineering, look no further than the TVR Cigaris. This thing looks like it escaped from a sci-fi movie and sounds like the apocalypse. Under that aggressive carbon fiber body sits a naturally aspirated 4.0-liter straight six producing 406 horsepower. But here's where it gets insane. This monster weighs only 2,315 pounds. Do the math and you're looking at a power-to-weight ratio that'll make a Viper owner nervous. The Cigaris wasn't just fast, it was violently, unreasonably, hilariously fast. 0 to 60 in 3.7 seconds, with handling so sharp it could cut glass. TVR built this car with one philosophy: maximum attack, minimum compromise. No traction control, no stability management, no safety net. Just you, 406 horsepower, and whatever prayers you remember from childhood. Aston Martin V8 Vantage. Long before modern Aston Martins became synonymous with James Bond sophistication, the 1970s V8 Vantage was pure British muscle brutality. This thing packed a 3-liter V8 that, in its most potent form, produced around 375 horsepower, making it one of the fastest production cars in the world at the time. But power was just the beginning. That hand-built V8 delivered torque like a freight train, all wrapped in bodywork that looked like it was carved from solid aggression. The Vantage could hit 170 mph when most supercars were struggling to break 150. Aston Martin called it Britain's first supercar, and they weren't exaggerating. Ferrari 456 GT. Now, some purists might argue that Ferrari doesn't belong on a muscle car list, but hear me out. The 456 GT was Ferrari's attempt at building a grand touring muscle car, emphasis on muscle. That naturally aspirated 5.5-liter V12 produced 436 horsepower and 398 lb-ft of torque. But more importantly, it delivered that power with the kind of linear, building surge that defines great muscle cars. This wasn't about high rev screaming. This was about effortless, crushing acceleration from any speed. The 456 could hit 60 mph in under 5 seconds and top out at 188 mph, all while seating 4 adults in genuine comfort. Ferrari built this car to dominate the Autobahn, not just the racetrack. That V12 symphony echoing off tunnel walls? That's the sound of Italian muscle at its absolute finest. Mercedes-Benz 500e. Here's where German engineering gets absolutely diabolical. The Mercedes 500e was basically a luxury sedan that Porsche secretly turned into a street weapon. Under that conservative exterior lurked a 5.0-liter V8 producing 322 horsepower. Serious grunt for the early 90s. But the real genius was in the execution. This thing looked like your dad's business sedan, but it could outrun most sports cars of its era. 0 to 60 in 5.5 seconds. Top speed electronically limited to 155 km/h. The 500e was the ultimate sleeper, a wolf in very expensive sheep's clothing that could embarrass Ferraris while carrying golf clubs in the trunk. Vauxhall VXR8. The Vauxhall VXR8 was basically what happened when British engineers got their hands on Australian muscle and said, "Hold our tea." This beast packed a supercharged 6.2-liter LSA V8. Yes, the same engine from the Camaro ZL1, producing 576 horsepower and 545 lb-ft of torque. But here's where it gets interesting. Vauxhall took that American heart and gave it European attitude. The result was a four-door sedan that could embarrass supercars on the drag strip while hauling the family to the grocery store. That exhaust note? Pure automotive pornography. A supercharged V8 roar that could set off car alarms 3 blocks away. Audi RS6 Avant C5. The original RS6 Avant redefined what a muscle car could be. Forget everything you think you know about station wagons. This thing was a 450 horsepower missile disguised as family transportation. That twin-turbo 4.2-liter V8 delivered power like a sledgehammer, all channeled through Audi's legendary Quattro all-wheel drive system. 0 to 60 in 4.6 seconds, in a wagon. That could carry your entire life in the back while embarrassing sports cars at every traffic light. That understated exterior hid one of the most devastating powertrains ever built, creating the ultimate automotive contradiction. A family car that could make a Corvette owner rethink their life choices. BMW M5 E39. The king of European muscle cars? The E39 BMW M5. This machine didn't just redefine the high-performance sedan category, it obliterated it. Under that perfectly sculpted hood sat a naturally aspirated 4.9-liter V8 producing 394 horsepower and 369 lb-ft of torque. But numbers don't tell the whole story. This engine was hand-built by BMW's M division, each one signed by the technician who assembled it. The result was a power plant that delivered thrust like a rocket ship, but with the refinement of a Swiss watch. 0 to 60 in 4.8 seconds, quarter mile in the low 13s, and a top speed that would make Autobahn patrol cars nervous. But what made the E39 M5 legendary wasn't just straight-line speed. It was the complete package. This car could carve canyon roads like a scalpel, then cruise to a business meeting without breaking a sweat. There you have it. 10 European machines that prove muscle isn't just an American birthright. Now I want to hear from you. What did we miss? What European muscle car deserves a spot on this list? Drop your thoughts in the comments below and don't forget to hit that like button if this list opened your eyes to what Europe has been cooking up. Subscribe for more automotive content that'll make you question everything you thought you knew about cars. Until next time, keep those engines roaring. The 1980s, big hair, bigger egos, and even bigger cars. This was the golden age of American excess, and luxury cars followed suit. Forget subtle. These machines were chrome-drenched, leather-wrapped V8-powered land yachts built to turn heads and cruise like clouds. This wasn't just transportation, it was prestige on 4 wheels. So buckle up as we count down the 10 best American luxury cars of the 1980s. Machines that were bold, beautiful, and every bit as over-the-top as the decade itself. Let's get into it. Number 10, 1981. Cadillac Seville Elegante. It's angular, it's dramatic. It's got that funky slant-back bustle trunk that made people ask, wait, is that a Cadillac or a Bentley? The Seville Elegante was Cadillac's move to inject European flair into American opulence. You got wire wheels, two-tone paint, real wood trim, and leather so soft it felt like a designer handbag. Under the hood, a 6.0-liter V8. Not fast, but smooth as silk. And inside, a trip computer in 1981, paired with leather armchair seats that screamed country club royalty. This wasn't your grandpa's caddy. This was Cadillac trying to be bold and modern. And honestly, they kinda nailed it. Number 9, 1985. Lincoln Town Car Signature Series. The Town Car. A living room on wheels. Or better yet, a lounge on white walls. The Signature Series brought the Lincoln luxury formula into its purest form. Velour or leather seats that swallowed you whole, power everything, and a suspension tuned for pure float. You didn't feel the road apologized and moved out of your way. This trim added gold accents, premium sound, and touches like a digital clock mounted proudly on the dash. Because of course luxury means knowing the time and style. For executives, retirees, and anyone who wanted to arrive like a boss, this was the car. Number 8, 1983, Buick Riviera. Convertible. Want rare? The Riviera convertible had it. Buick only made around 1,750 of these in 1983. This was open-air glamour with a 5-liter V8 and front-wheel drive. And the styling? Sleek lines, chrome galore, and an interior wrapped in crushed velour or fine leather. You also got high-tech touches like a digital dash, power everything, and the kind of head-turning road presence that made valet parkers smile. This car said, "Yeah, I've arrived, and I brought sunshine with me." Number 7, 1984. Chrysler. Fifth Avenue Chrysler may have been struggling in the 80s, but the Fifth Avenue was their quiet comeback. Affordable, luxurious, and incredibly comfortable. This car became a favorite of city professionals, government drivers, and anyone who appreciated low-key class. You got opera lights, crystal hood ornaments, and yes, real Corinthian leather. The 5.2-liter V8 purred politely and glided over pavement. And at under $15,000, it delivered top-tier looks and features without blowing the budget. Number 6, 1986, Oldsmobile Toronado Brougham. Now this was different. The Toronado was front-wheel drive, long before that was cool in a luxury car. It had hidden headlights, wraparound rear glass, and a body that looked like it came from a sci-fi film. The Brougham trim gave you deep pile carpet, a full digital dash, power everything, and wood grain that looked like it came off a yacht. The 5-liter V8 delivered respectable performance, but this car was more about experience, being cocooned in tech and surrounded by style. A hidden gem for the tech-loving luxury driver. Number 5, 1987. Cadillac. Alante Cadillac wanted to fight the Europeans? Mercedes, BMW, Jaguar. Their secret weapon? The Alante. Hand-built bodies by Pininfarina in Italy. Shipped across the Atlantic in custom Boeing 747s. Final assembly done in Detroit. It was Cadillac's most ambitious experiment. The result? A sleek 2-seater roadster with front-wheel drive, a transverse V8, and an interior dripping in leather and digital gadgets. It didn't quite beat the Germans, but it made a statement. American luxury could wear a tuxedo and still light up the strip. Number 4, 1989, Lincoln Continental Signature Series. By the late 80s, Lincoln got futuristic. The Continental Signature Series looked conservative outside, but inside it was cutting edge. Air suspension, anti-lock brakes, digital everything, and a voice that literally talked to you when something was wrong. The 3.8-liter V6 wasn't a powerhouse, but it was refined, and the ride was eerily smooth, like riding on memory foam. For business professionals and modernists, this was the Lincoln that showed America could do smart luxury before Lexus ever landed. Number 3, 1982. Cadillac Eldorado Biarritz. This car didn't whisper. It shouted luxury from every chrome corner. The stainless steel roof, opera windows, gold trim, and those blood-red leather seats made it more casino than car, and we loved it. It was packed with gadgets, including a digital fuel monitor, electronic climate control, and a trunk you could open with your key from 10 feet away. The Eldorado Biarritz didn't just show up. It arrived. Number 2, 1980, Lincoln Mark VI. Bill Blass Edition designer editions were the rage in the 80s, and the Bill Blass Mark VI was the finest of them all. Two-tone navy and cream paint, gold trim, leather interior with contrasting piping and embroidered logos. This car was dressed to the nines, and under the hood, a fuel-injected 5-liter V8 made cruising effortless. This wasn't just a car, it was couture. It proved that even in Detroit, luxury could be fashionable. Number 1, 1985. Cadillac Fleetwood Brougham d'Elegance. And here it is, the king of American 80s luxury. The long wheelbase, rear-drive Cadillac Fleetwood Brougham d'Elegance. This car had everything. Power trunk, dual-zone climate, Twilight Sentinel headlights, rear seat footrests, velour or leather interiors softer than a jazz solo. Its 4.1-liter V8 wasn't a beast, but it was smooth, and it came with Cadillac's digital fuel injection system, advanced for the time. It was massive, it was elegant, and it was unmistakably Cadillac. When people think classic American luxury, this is the car they picture. Honorable mention, 1980 Imperial by Chrysler. We had to sneak in one more. The 1980 Imperial was Chrysler's secret luxury weapon, a coupe so bold it came with a guarantee. Buyers got a letter from Lee Iacocca himself, promising top-tier quality. It had a futuristic digital dashboard, hidden headlights, fuel injection, and Mark Cross leather luggage in the trunk. It was high-end, high-concept, and high-style, and deserves a spot in any luxury lineup. So there you have it, the 10 best and boldest American luxury cars from the 1980s, plus one too cool to forget. These cars weren't just about status, they were about feeling something behind the wheel. Comfort, class, confidence. And yeah, a little ego too. Which one is your favorite? Did we miss a sleeper hit or hidden gem? Drop your pick in the comments below. Smash that like button if you love old-school American luxury. Subscribe for more chrome, horsepower, and everything classic from the golden era of American motoring. This is the past, and it's still rolling strong. Some American cars didn't just fail their crash tests, they practically folded like origami on impact. We're talking about vehicles that rolled off Detroit assembly lines and straight into safety nightmares that would make you think twice about that used car lot purchase. From crumbling A-pillars to doors that popped open like jack-in-the-boxes, these vehicles remind us why modern safety standards exist. Jeep Compass. Let's kick things off with Jeep's compact crossover that proved size doesn't always matter, especially when it comes to structural integrity. The Compass earned a brutal poor rating from the Insurance Institute for Highway Safety in their small overlap front test. What went wrong? The A-pillar buckled like a soda can under pressure. The steering column intruded into the driver's space by nearly 6 inches. The IIHS report noted excessive intrusion of the instrument panel and brake pedal. Translation: this thing crumpled in all the wrong places. Despite these glaring safety issues, Chrysler sold over 400,000 units. Many owners had no idea they were driving around in what safety experts considered a rolling risk. Ford F-150, regular cab. America's best-selling truck had a dirty secret in its regular cab configuration. While Super Crew versions performed adequately, the regular cab F-150 struggled with side impact protection that earned it just 3 stars from NHTSA. The lack of structural reinforcement meant side impacts often resulted in severe cabin intrusion. Ford's own testing revealed B-pillar weakness under sideload conditions. They quietly reinforced later models, but not before hundreds of thousands hit American roads. What's frustrating? Ford had the know-how to build it right. The Super Crew versions proved they could nail safety requirements, but cost-cutting on regular cabs created dangerous compromises. Chevrolet Cobalt. The Cobalt wasn't just plagued by ignition switch recalls, its crash performance was equally concerning. This compact car earned a marginal rating in IIHS moderate overlap front testing due to excessive head and neck injury risk. The main culprit? Poor airbag timing and positioning. The IIHS noted that dummy movement was not well controlled. Engineer speak for getting thrown around like a rag doll. Here's the kicker: GM sold over 1.3 million Cobalts during production. That's 1.3 million drivers who might have been better served by any other compact car. The Toyota Corolla and Honda Civic from the same era earned good ratings in identical tests. Jeep Grand Cherokee. This one stings because the Grand Cherokee was supposed to be Jeep's premium offering. Instead, it delivered premium-level disappointment in roof strength testing. The IIHS measures how much weight a roof can support before crushing inward by 5 inches. The Grand Cherokee's roof buckled at just 3.2 times the vehicle's weight. The IIHS minimum, 4 times vehicle weight. In rollover scenarios, that 0.8 difference could mean the difference between walking away and becoming a statistic. This was particularly embarrassing timing-wise. This generation was supposed to showcase Chrysler's post-bankruptcy engineering prowess. Instead, it highlighted that old habits, prioritizing style over structural integrity, die hard. Dodge Journey. The Journey lived up to its name, taking you on a journey through multiple crash test failures. This crossover managed the impressive feat of earning poor ratings in 3 different IIHS tests: small overlap front, side impact, and roof strength. The small overlap test was particularly brutal, with IIHS noting high risk of significant injuries to the left leg due to excessive intrusion. Even minor rear-end collisions posed higher whiplash risk due to poor head restraint positioning. Here's the mind-boggling part. Dodge kept selling this thing for 8 years with minimal safety improvements. 8 years. The automotive world evolved, but the journey stayed stubbornly mediocre. Jeep Wrangler. Before Jeep, enthusiasts start typing angry comments, hear me out. The Wrangler is an icon, a legend, a symbol of American freedom. It's also spectacularly bad at protecting occupants in certain crash scenarios. The IIHS small overlap test revealed that the Wrangler's rigid construction, great for rock crawling, was terrible for managing crash energy. The A-pillar separation was so severe that IIHS described it as complete structural failure. The steering wheel moved nearly a foot toward the driver. The door frame separated from the A-pillar entirely. In crash footage, you can literally see daylight where connections should be. Jeep's response? Essentially, it's built different. And they weren't wrong. Body-on-frame construction and removable doors create unique challenges. But built different doesn't help when you're upside down in a ditch. Ford 500. The 500 was Ford's attempt to build a safe, sensible family sedan. They succeeded on sensible. This car was about as exciting as watching paint dry. Unfortunately, they stumbled on safety, earning poor in IIHS side impact testing. The problem? Door frame weakness, allowing excessive intrusion into passenger compartments. In simulated side crashes, doors literally bent inward, reducing survival space to dangerous levels. IIHS noted high risk of significant torso injuries. What made this particularly frustrating was Ford's good intentions. The 500 was designed as the responsible choice, prioritizing safety over excitement. Instead, it delivered neither nor that, a rare automotive double failure. Chevrolet Camaro. This hurts because the fifth-generation Camaro was a triumph of design and performance. It looked fantastic, sounded incredible, and could lay rubber like nobody's business. What it couldn't do was protect occupants in small overlap crashes. IHS results were brutal. Poor overall rating due to excessive structural deformation. The A-pillar buckled, door hinge pillars separated, and steering columns intruded significantly into driver space. The irony is thick. GM spent enormous resources perfecting aggressive styling and tire-shredding performance, but apparently forgot people might occasionally crash. For a car celebrating American muscle heritage, failing basic safety tests was particularly embarrassing. Ford Expedition. Ford's full-size SUV had a massive problem. Literally. The Expedition's size and weight should have provided natural crash protection, but poor structural design turned mass into a liability. An HTSA testing revealed concerning rollover propensity, earning just 3 stars. But the real shocker was roof crush performance. For a vehicle designed to haul families on cross-country adventures, the roof showed alarming weakness in rollover scenarios. The Expedition's high center of gravity, combined with inadequate electronic stability control in early years, created a perfect storm of rollover risk. When crashes did occur, occupants faced higher injury probability than they should have in such a large vehicle. Jeep Patriot. Taking the top spot is Jeep's budget-friendly compact SUV that proved you truly get what you pay for. The Patriot didn't just fail crash tests, it failed spectacularly, earning poor ratings across multiple categories. Small overlap front testing showed complete A-pillar collapse. Side impact results revealed dangerous door intrusion. Even moderate overlap testing showed concerning head injury risk due to poor airbag performance. The IIHS was unusually harsh in their assessment, noting significant risk of serious injury in all crash modes tested. That's safety engineer language for avoid at all costs. What makes this particularly egregious? Jeep had access to safer platform designs within the Chrysler family. The Patriot's failures weren't due to engineering limitations. They were due to cost-cutting taken too far. Despite abysmal safety ratings, Chrysler sold over 400,000 Patriots. Price-conscious buyers attracted to Jeep branding had no idea they were trading safety for savings. There you have it, 10 American cars that reminded us why crash testing exists. These vehicles prove that Detroit's engineering prowess doesn't always extend to occupant protection. The silver lining? Modern American cars have dramatically improved. Today's Ford F-150, Chevrolet Silverado, and even Jeep Grand Cherokee earn top safety ratings. These historical failures taught valuable lessons about prioritizing safety alongside performance and style. But here's the real takeaway. Always check crash test ratings before buying used. That bargain-priced Patriot or Journey might seem like a deal until you realize what you're really buying. What's your worst crash test story? Drop it in the comments below. And if this video saved you from buying a rolling safety hazard, smash that like button and subscribe for more Real Talk automotive content. Picture this. It's 1995. You pull up to a red light in your shiny new Mustang GT next to you. Some boring-looking family sedan with hubcaps and a guy in a polo shirt. The light turns green, you floor it, and suddenly that grocery getter is pulling away from you like you're standing still. Welcome to the golden age of sleeper cars, my friends. What's a sleeper car? Simple. It's a wolf in sheep's clothing. A car that looks absolutely ordinary on the outside but packs serious heat under the hood. The 90s were absolutely loaded with these understated monsters. And today, we're counting down the 10 most legendary ones that had gearheads in the know, absolutely losing their minds. Chevrolet Caprice 9C1, starting our list with America's finest unmarked interceptor. The Caprice 9C1 wasn't just any Crown Vic competitor. This thing was built for high-speed pursuits and came with the legendary LT1 5.7-liter V8 pumping out 260 horsepower. 0 to 60? Just 6.5 seconds in a car that looked like your grandfather's taxi. But here's the kicker, you could actually buy these as a civilian. Chevy sold them to fleets, but savvy enthusiasts knew to hit up the police auctions when departments upgraded. The 9C1 package included heavy-duty everything: transmission, cooling, suspension, brakes. These cars were bulletproof, literally and figuratively. Today, clean examples are absolute gold among collectors who know what real performance looks like. Ford Taurus IO. The original SHO was legendary, but the second-generation SHO was the one that really perfected the sleeper formula. Same boring Taurus body that screamed, rental car special. But underneath lurked a hand-built Yamaha V6 that revved to 7,000 RPM. This wasn't your typical American V6. Yamaha engineered this masterpiece with dual overhead cams and 24 valves, producing 220 horsepower that loved to sing at high RPM. 0 to 60 happened in just 6.6 seconds. Respectable even by today's standards. The best part? It looked exactly like every other Taurus on the road. No spoilers, no hood scoops, just subtle SHO badges that most people completely missed. Pure sleeper perfection. Chevrolet Impala SS. Now this one's a bit of a cheat because it looked mean, but hear me out. To most people in the mid-90s, this just looked like a big, outdated Caprice. Little did they know Chevy had stuffed the Corvette's LT1 engine under that long hood. 360 horsepower from a 5.7-liter V8 in a car that weighed 2 tons. The result? A 5.3-second 0 to 60 time that embarrassed sports cars costing twice as much. Only 69,658 were ever built, making them instant classics. The Impala SS proved that sometimes the best sleeper is hiding in plain sight. Sure, it had some aggressive styling cues, but to the average person, it was just another big sedan. To those in the know, pure American muscle wrapped in family car practicality. Volvo 850 T5R. Leave it to the Swedes to build one of the most unexpected sleepers of the decade. The 850 T5R looked like every other Volvo wagon on the soccer field, but underneath that sensible exterior was a turbocharged inline-5 that absolutely screamed. 240 horsepower from a 2.3-liter turbo 5-cylinder. That's serious specific output for 1994. 0 to 60 in 6.9 seconds in a wagon that could haul your kids and their friends. The T5R proved that performance and practicality weren't mutually exclusive. Plus, these things were built like tanks. Typical Volvo safety with absolutely unexpected performance. Racing pedigree too. Volvo campaigned these in the British Touring Car Championship, where they actually won races. How's that for sleeper credibility? Acura Legend LS Coupe. While everyone was obsessing over the NSX, Acura quietly built one of the smoothest sleepers of the 90s. The Legend LS Coupe packed a silky 3.2-liter V6 that made 230 horsepower. Serious power for a luxury coupe that looked like it belonged in a country club parking lot. But the Legend was more than just straight-line speed. This thing handled like it was on rails thanks to sophisticated four-wheel steering and a perfectly balanced chassis. 0 to 60 in 6.8 seconds. But the real magic happened in the corners where this car would absolutely embarrass proper sports cars. The best part? It was reliable as gravity and comfortable enough for cross-country drives. The perfect gentleman's sleeper that could run with the best of them when the road got twisty. Toyota Camry, all-track turbo. Here's the ultimate sleeper that absolutely nobody saw coming. Toyota took their boring, rental car spec Camry and created something special. The all-track turbo. All-wheel drive system plus a turbocharged 2.0-liter 4-cylinder, pumping out 200 horsepower. 0 to 60 in 6.8 seconds in something that looked exactly like every other Camry on the road. No spoilers, no aggressive styling, just pure anonymity. All-weather capability with genuinely surprising performance wrapped in the most mundane package Toyota could create. Pure Japanese sleeper engineering that fooled absolutely everyone at every stoplight. GMC Cyclone. Okay, so maybe these don't look completely ordinary, but stick with me. To most people, the Cyclone looked like a compact pickup with some plastic cladding. The Typhoon? Just another small SUV. But both packed the same secret weapon, a turbocharged and intercooled 4.3-liter V6 making 280 horsepower. The Cyclone could hit 60 in 4.3 seconds, faster than a Ferrari 348 or Lamborghini Diablo. The Typhoon was only slightly slower despite weighing more. These were legitimate supercars disguised as utilitarian vehicles. All-wheel drive, sophisticated turbo systems, and performance that absolutely shocked the automotive world. Car and Driver famously called the Cyclone the fastest thing you can buy with a bed. They weren't wrong. Mitsubishi Eclipse GSX. Now, the Eclipse GSX wasn't exactly subtle with its aggressive styling, but here's the thing. Most people couldn't tell the difference between a GSX and a base Eclipse. Same body, same general appearance, but worlds apart in capability. The GSX packed Mitsubishi's legendary 4G63 turbocharged four-cylinder, making 210 horsepower, all-wheel drive, and a suspension setup that could handle serious performance driving. 0 to 60 in 6.1 seconds with grip that defied physics. While posers were buying Camaros and Mustangs, smart enthusiasts were picking up GSXs and walking away from much more expensive hardware. The 4G63 engine became legendary in tuning circles. These cars could handle massive power increases with basic modifications. BMW M3, wait, you might be thinking, the E36 M3 wasn't exactly a sleeper, right? Wrong. In the 90s, most people had no idea what the M badge meant. To them, it was just another 3 Series, maybe with slightly wider tires. But underneath that understated BMW exterior was a naturally aspirated inline-6 that loved to rev to 40 horsepower. Might not sound like much today, but in a perfectly balanced chassis weighing just 200 pounds, it was magic. 0 to 60 in 5.4 seconds, but the real joy came on twisty roads where this car was absolutely untouchable. Perfect 50-50 weight distribution, race-bred suspension, and an engine that screamed to 7,000 RPM. The E36 M3 proved that the best sleepers don't need to hide their performance. They just need the right people to recognize it. Mercedes-Benz 500e E500 and our number one sleeper car of the 90s, the Mercedes 500e, later called the E500. This car was so special that Mercedes had to send the bodies to Porsche for final assembly because their own production line couldn't handle the modifications needed. A hand-built 5.0-liter V8 making 315 horsepower in a sedan that looked exactly like every other E-Class on the road. 0 to 60 in 5 seconds, faster than most sports cars of the era. But here's what made it truly special. It could do this performance run, then immediately cruise at 155 mph all day long in perfect comfort. Only the slightly flared fenders and discreet badging gave away that you were looking at one of the fastest sedans ever built. Mercedes called it the wolf in sheep's clothing, and they weren't kidding. Today, clean examples command serious money among collectors who know automotive history. There you have it, 10 of the most legendary sleeper cars that dominated the 90s. Which of these 90s sleepers would you want in your garage? Drop a comment below and let me know your favorite understated performer from the decade that perfected the art of hiding serious performance in plain sight. And if you loved diving into these automotive deep cuts, smash that like button and subscribe for more legendary cars that flew under the radar. Ever seen a car so revolutionary that it flopped? Cars with technology we use today, but back then? Total disasters. Machines that could have changed everything, if only people weren't terrified of the future. Today we're revealing 10 cars that were so far ahead, they got punished for being brilliant. Prepare to be shocked. Honda Insight. While everyone was still guzzling gas like there was no tomorrow, Honda dropped the Insight. This little spaceship-looking coupe could get over 60 miles per gallon. In the year 2000, think about that for a second. The Insight combined a tiny gas engine with an electric motor. Revolutionary stuff back then. But Americans took one look at its aluminum body, manual transmission, and those funky rear wheel covers and said, no thanks. We wanted our SUVs big and our trucks bigger. Honda sold fewer than 20,000 Insights in 5 years. Meanwhile, the Prius came along with 4 doors and automatic transmission, and suddenly everyone was a hybrid convert. The Insight's DNA lives on in every hybrid you see today. Sometimes being first means watching someone else get the credit. Buick Grand National GNX, picture this. Your grandmother's car company builds something that can smoke a Corvette. That's exactly what Buick did with the Grand National GNX. While everyone else was building naturally aspirated V8s, Buick went turbo. This black beauty packed a 3.8-liter V6 with a turbocharger that made 276 horsepower. But here's the kicker. Everyone knew it was making way more than that. Buick just didn't want to upset the Corvette team. Independent tests showed it was pushing over 300 horses. The GNX could hit 60 mph in under 5 seconds and run the quarter mile in the mid-12s. In 1987, the problem? It cost as much as a Corvette, but came from the brand your dad associated with retirement homes. Only 547 were built. Today, they're worth more than most new cars. A Dodge Viper GTS. When Dodge unleashed the Viper, most people focused on the massive V10 engine. But the real innovation was hiding in plain sight: the aerodynamics. That iconic double-bubble roof wasn't just for looks. It was wind tunnel-tested perfection. The GTS coupe could slice through air with a drag coefficient that put European exotics to shame. This was computational fluid dynamics meets American muscle. While other manufacturers were still guessing at airflow, Dodge was using NASA-level testing. But buyers in the 90s wanted straight-line speed, not wind-cheating efficiency. They saw the Viper as a raw, unfiltered beast, which it was. The aerodynamic wizardry got overlooked. Today, every performance car obsesses over airflow, downforce, and drag coefficients. The Viper was teaching those lessons 20 years early. Cadillac Cimarron, hold on. Before you throw something at your screen, hear me out. Yes, the Cimarron was a disaster, but buried beneath all that badge engineering was a glimpse of Cadillac's future. Smaller, efficient luxury cars. While Cadillac was still pushing land yachts with 5-liter V8s that made 140 horsepower, the Cimarron tried to prove luxury could come in a compact package. The execution was terrible. It was basically a dressed-up Chevrolet Cavalier. But the concept? Pure gold. Fast forward to today, and Cadillac's best-selling vehicle is the compact XT4 crossover. Their performance cars are small, turbocharged, and precise. The Cimarron was asking the right question: why does luxury have to mean huge? It just couldn't answer it properly. GMC Cyclone. What happens when you stuff a turbocharged V6, all-wheel drive, and sports car suspension into a compact pickup truck? You get the GMC Cyclone, the most ridiculously fast truck ever built. This thing could hit 60 mph in 4.3 seconds. Let that sink in. A pickup truck from 1991 was faster than a Ferrari 348. It ran the quarter mile in the high 13s while carrying your groceries in the back. The all-wheel drive system was borrowed from rally racing. The suspension was tuned by engineers who understood what handling meant. But America wasn't ready for a performance truck. We wanted trucks for work and sports cars for speed. The idea of combining both seemed crazy. GMC built fewer than 3,000 Cyclones. Today, every truck manufacturer offers a high-performance variant. The Cyclone wrote the playbook BMW 850 CSI. BMW's 850 CSI wasn't just fast, it was smart, really smart. This was one of the first cars to use drive-by-wire throttle control. No cable connecting your foot to the engine. Everything went through a computer first. The 12-cylinder engine had individual throttle bodies for each cylinder, all controlled electronically. The suspension could adjust itself. The stability control system could brake individual wheels to keep you on the road. This was smartphone-level computing in 1994, but buyers were skeptical. They wanted to feel connected to their cars, not have a computer making decisions. The 850 CSI felt too clinical, too removed. Sales were disappointing. Now, every car you drive has dozens of computers making hundreds of decisions per second. BMW was just 20 years too early. Mercedes S-Class. While other luxury cars were adding cup holders, Mercedes packed the S-Class with technology that wouldn't become common for another decade. Pre-safe collision preparation, Distronic adaptive cruise control, active body control suspension. This car could literally see accidents coming and prepare for them. It would tighten seatbelts, adjust seats, and close windows in milliseconds. The adaptive cruise control could follow traffic automatically. The suspension could lean into corners like a motorcycle. American buyers weren't ready for a car that smart. They complained about complexity and repair costs. But every safety feature you take for granted today, automatic emergency braking, lane keeping assist, adaptive cruise control. Mercedes was perfecting these systems when most cars still had cassette players. Citroën SM. The Citroën SM looked like it drove straight out of a science fiction movie, low, sleek, and absolutely unlike anything else on the road. But the real magic was underneath. Self-leveling hydraulic suspension, variable ratio power steering, and aerodynamics that put jets to shame. This car could maintain the same ride height whether empty or loaded. The steering got lighter at low speeds and heavier at highway speeds. The drag coefficient was so low it could cruise at 120 mph while barely breathing hard. In 1970, Americans never got a chance to buy one legally. Safety regulations kept it out. Even in Europe, it was too weird, too expensive, too French. But look at any modern luxury car today. Self-leveling suspension? Check. Variable steering? Check. Wind cheating aerodynamics? Absolutely. The SM was showing us the future, but we were looking the other way, Audi Quattro. When Audi brought all-wheel drive to passenger cars, most people asked why. After all, front-wheel drive was fine for snow and rear-wheel drive was better for performance. Why complicate things? The Quattro answered that question by dominating rally racing and rewriting the rules of performance driving. This wasn't just all-wheel drive, it was intelligent power distribution that could send torque where it was needed most. Turbo power, permanent all-wheel drive, and handling that defied physics. But Americans were slow to embrace it. All-wheel drive meant complexity, weight, and higher costs. We preferred our muscle cars simple and our snow cars cheap. It took decades for AWD to become mainstream. Now, try finding a performance car without it. From Subaru WRX to Lamborghini Huracan, the Quattro's influence is everywhere. Lexus LS 400. When Lexus launched the LS 400, they didn't just build a luxury car, they redefined what luxury meant. While Mercedes and BMW focused on engineering prowess, Lexus obsessed over perfection. Every detail, every sound, every sensation was engineered to exceed expectations. The LS 400 was quieter than a Rolls-Royce. It was more reliable than a Honda. It cost half as much as comparable German cars while delivering superior quality. But the real innovation was the philosophy. Luxury through flawless execution, rather than prestigious badges. American luxury buyers initially dismissed it as just another Japanese car. They couldn't believe anything from Japan could compete with European prestige. But the LS 400 didn't just compete. It dominated. It forced every luxury manufacturer to rethink their approach. Today's emphasis on quality, reliability, and value in luxury cars traces directly back to this game changer. Time has a funny way of proving innovators right. These 10 cars were ridiculed, ignored, or misunderstood when they first hit the streets. Which of these futuristic cars do you remember? Drop a comment and share your story. I'd love to hear about your encounters with these time machines. And if you enjoyed this trip through automotive history, smash that like button and subscribe for more forgotten legends and the cars that shaped our world. It's 1971 and the streets are alive with the pulse of raw American horsepower. The muscle car era is at its peak. Chevelles, GTOs, and Chargers are kings of the asphalt, tearing up drag strips and cruising burger joints under flickering neon signs. But out there, rolling through the shadows, there's a car that doesn't quite fit the mold. It's not a Dodge, not a Pontiac, not a Ford. It's a Cadillac. Yeah, you heard that right, a Cadillac. The 1970-1971 Cadillac Eldorado, packing a monstrous 500 cubic inch V8, wasn't just a luxury cruiser. It was a velvet-gloved bruiser, a street legend that could smoke most muscle cars while coddling its driver in leather-lined comfort. This is the story of the Eldorado 500, a forgotten giant that ruled the roads in its own way. Let's set the stage. Cadillac was General Motors' crown jewel, the brand that screamed prestige. While Chevy churned out Camaros and Pontiac built fire-breathing GTOs, Cadillac was crafting rolling cathedrals for the elite, cars that whispered wealth and sophistication. But don't let the chrome trim and plush interiors fool you. Under the hood of the 1970 Eldorado lurked a beast that could shame the competition. The Eldorado wasn't built to be a muscle car, but with its massive 500 cubic inch V8, it gate-crashed the party anyway. This wasn't your typical pony car with a stripped-down interior and a stick shift. No, the Eldorado was a front-wheel drive luxury coupe with a swagger all its own, blending high society with street fighter grit. It was the kind of car that could pull up to a drag race, blast past a Hemi Cuda, and then cruise to a five-star restaurant without breaking a sweat. So what made this car so special? Let's pop the hood and talk about that engine, the heart of the Eldorado's legend. Cadillac introduced the 500 cubic inch V8 in 1970, a monster of an engine designed to keep the brand's flagship models ahead of the pack. This wasn't just a big block. It was the biggest production V8 in America at the time, displacing a whopping 8.2 liters. Built to power Cadillac's heaviest luxury liners, the 500 was engineered for effortless torque, not just raw horsepower. In 1970, it churned out 400 horsepower at 4,400 RPM and a staggering 550 pound-feet of torque at just 3,000 RPM. To put that in perspective, a 1970 Chevelle SS with a 454 LS6 big block made 450 horsepower, but only 500 pound-feet of torque. The Eldorado's torque was a tidal wave, delivering neck-snapping acceleration that could pin you to the seat. Compared to other big blocks of the era, like Chrysler's 440 or Ford's 429, the Cadillac 500 stood out for its low-end grunt and smooth power delivery, thanks to a long 4.3-inch stroke and a 4.304-inch bore. This engine wasn't just about numbers, it was about presence. Now here's where things get interesting. The Eldorado wasn't a rear-wheel drive bruiser like its muscle car rivals, it was front-wheel drive, a bold choice for a performance car in 1970. Cadillac paired the 500 V8 with the turbo Hydramatic 425 transmission, a beefy 3-speed automatic built to handle the engine's massive torque. The TH425 was a derivative of GM's legendary Turbo 400, but adapted for front-wheel drive duty with a chain-driven transaxle sending power to the front wheels. This setup was a marvel of engineering for the time, allowing the Eldorado to put down its power with surprising grip. On the street, the front-wheel drive layout gave the Eldorado a unique character. It wasn't a twitchy, tail-happy beast like a rear-drive Charger. Instead, it planted itself and pulled hard, the front tires clawing at the pavement as that 550 pound-feet of torque surged through. Step inside the Eldorado and you'd swear you were in a rolling penthouse. This wasn't the Spartan cockpit of a Plymouth Roadrunner. The interior was pure Cadillac opulence. Soft leather seats, power everything, and enough chrome trim to make a lowrider jealous. The dashboard featured a sleek, driver-focused design with analog gauges and optional extras like an AM/FM stereo with an 8-track player. You could get climate control, power windows, and even a tilt and telescope steering wheel, luxuries that made a Chevelle's vinyl bench seat feel like a park bench. But don't think the Eldorado was all show and no go. That 500 V8 gave it the muscle to back up its swagger. It was the ultimate sleeper, a car that looked like it belonged at a country club but could embarrass a Mustang Mach 1 at a stoplight. It was the best of both worlds, a gentleman's cruiser with a street racer's soul. Now let's talk numbers, because the Eldorado wasn't cheap. In 1970, a base Eldorado coupe started at around $6,900, which was a fortune compared to, say, a $3,500 Chevelle SS adjusted for inflation. That's about $50,000 in today's money, a premium price for a premium car. But for that money, you got unmatched luxury and a 500 V8 that was exclusive to Cadillac's top-tier models. The 500 cubic inch engine was only used in the Eldorado from 1970 to 1976, with the 1970-1971 models being the high watermark for performance. By 1972, emissions regulations and detuning started to sap the engine's power. The 1971 model was rated at 365 horsepower and 535 pound-feet of torque. Still mighty, but a step down from 1970's peak. By 1975, stricter emissions rules and unleaded fuel requirements dropped output to a low of 190 horsepower in some applications, a sad shadow of the engine's former glory. The Eldorado itself soldiered on until 2002, but the 500 V8's reign as a performance icon was brief, making those 1970-1971 models the ones to chase for gearheads today. It wasn't just a car, it was a statement. In an era when muscle cars screamed for attention with bright colors and loud graphics, the Eldorado whispered power with quiet confidence. It was a gentleman in a tailored suit who could throw a knockout punch. Today, these cars are rare gems, often overlooked in favor of more traditional muscle cars like the Charger or GTO. But for those in the know, the Eldorado 500 is a legend, a car that defied expectations, blending luxury and brute force in a way no other car could. Drive one and you're not just piloting a machine, you're piloting a piece of history, a time machine back to the days when American cars ruled the streets with unapologetic swagger. If you've enjoyed this deep dive into the Cadillac Eldorado 500, hit that like button and subscribe for more stories about the cars that shaped an era. Drop a comment below and let me know. Would you take this Velvet Bruiser over a Chevelle SS or a Hemi Cuda? Or maybe you've got a story about an Eldorado you've seen or driven. Share it with us. Until next time, keep the rubber side down and the V8s roaring. For over half a century, the Ford Mustang and Chevrolet Camaro have battled for muscle car supremacy. Born from American pride and built for the open road, these icons aren't just machines. They're memories on four wheels. Today, we're diving deep into their legacy. Which side are you on? April 17, 1964. Ford dropped the Mustang on an unsuspecting world and everything changed. Lee Iacocca's vision wasn't just about building another car, it was about capturing the spirit of youth, freedom, and endless possibility that defined the mid-60s. The Mustang created the pony car segment from thin air, selling over 1 million units in its first 18 months. Think about that. In an era when a new car cost what many folks made in 6 months, people were lining up to buy something that represented pure American optimism. The secret wasn't just in the looks, though. That long hood and short deck proportion was pure poetry. It was the idea that performance could be democratic. 3 years after the Mustang's debut on September 29, 1967, the Camaro roared into showrooms with a clear mission: hunt down the Mustang and show it what real performance looked like. This wasn't just GM building another car. This was Detroit's version of a declaration of war. Where Ford had stumbled into the pony car market almost by accident, Chevrolet approached it with surgical precision. Every line, every curve, every engineering decision on the Camaro was made with one goal: make the Mustang look ordinary by comparison. The result was a car that sat lower, looked meaner, and promised serious business from every angle. Ford positioned the Mustang as the everyman sports car, something that could be a secretary's daily driver on Monday and a weekend warrior on Saturday. Chevrolet took a different approach with the Camaro. This was a pure performance machine dressed up for the street, engineered from the ground up to dominate both the showroom and the drag strip. By 1968, both cars had transcended mere transportation and become cultural symbols. The Mustang's cultural breakthrough came in 1968 when Steve McQueen piloted that Highland Green fastback through the streets of San Francisco in Bullitt. That chase scene didn't just showcase a car, it defined what American automotive performance looked like to the world. The Camaro built its cultural credentials differently but just as effectively. From the yellow Bumblebee in the Transformers franchise to countless action films where the hero needed something that looked like it meant business, the Camaro represented intensity over accessibility, focused aggression over broad appeal. This cultural positioning perfectly mirrored the engineering philosophy that separated these two approaches to American performance. The Mustang guy was seen as confident and approachable, someone who appreciated both style and substance. The Camaro owner projected intensity and focus, someone who valued raw performance over easy charm. Ford's Mustang platform philosophy centered around adaptability and broad appeal. The same chassis that carried an economical inline-six could be transformed into a fire-breathing Boss 429. This flexibility made the Mustang accessible to different budgets and needs, creating the broadest possible market appeal. But it also meant compromises. The platform had to serve too many masters, sometimes limiting outright performance potential in favor of versatility and manufacturing efficiency. Chevrolet's approach with the Camaro was more surgical and focused. Built on the F-body platform shared with the Pontiac Firebird, every engineering decision prioritized performance first, then figured out how to make it livable for daily use. The result was a car that consistently handled better, accelerated harder, and stopped shorter than the Mustang in most configurations, but sometimes at the cost of refinement and everyday usability. The legendary 1969 models perfectly exemplified this philosophical divide. The Mustang Boss 429 packed Ford's NASCAR engine, a 429 cubic inch semi-Hemi monster officially rated at 375 horsepower but actually making closer to 500, into a street car. It was brutally fast but temperamental, a car that demanded respect and mechanical sympathy. The '69 Camaro ZL1 was Chevrolet's nuclear response. The all-aluminum 427 big block made similar power but weighed 100 pounds less than iron counterparts. only 69 were built, and each one was essentially a race car with license plates. Where the Boss 429 was sophisticated brutality, the ZL1 was pure, unapologetic violence. It represented everything Chevrolet believed about performance. If you're going to do it right, regardless of compromise. The 1970s oil crises and increasingly strict emissions regulations nearly killed the muscle car entirely. How each manufacturer responded during this period reveals a lot about their long-term commitment to performance and their understanding of their customer base. Ford chose evolution over revolution with the Fox Body Mustang, introduced in 1979. Initially ridiculed for its angular styling and modest power, the base V8 made just 140 horsepower in a time when insurance companies had neutered most performance engines. The Fox Body proved that sometimes survival requires patience and faith in better times ahead. Ford kept the platform alive, gradually improving it year by year, waiting for regulations to ease and technology to catch up. When the 5.0 HO engine arrived in the mid-80s GT models, producing a respectable 225 horsepower, it proved that American V8s weren't dead, just hibernating. The Fox Body became the foundation for the modern performance car revival, teaching a generation of enthusiasts that power could be affordable and reliable. Chevrolet took a more dramatic approach. After the second-generation Camaro ended in 1981, they completely reimagined the car for 1982. The third-generation IROX Z era represented Camaro's MTV generation moment. These cars looked like they belonged on Miami Vice, with aggressive ground effects packages and advanced fuel injection technology that actually delivered both performance and reasonable fuel economy, a combination that seemed impossible in the early 80s. Today's cars represent the culmination of everything learned over 6 decades of rivalry and refinement. The 2005 Mustang GT marked Ford's definitive return to retro-inspired design, consciously evoking the original 65 fastback while packaging modern safety standards and performance capabilities. It was a bold statement. We know what made us great, and we're not afraid to embrace it. When the fifth-generation Camaro returned in 2010 after an 8-year hiatus, Chevrolet made an equally bold statement. The LS3-powered SS delivered 426 horsepower and looked like it had rolled straight out of a science fiction movie, yet somehow captured the aggressive stance and purposeful proportions that made the original '69 Camaro so compelling. Today's Mustang GT, powered by the 5.0L Coyote V8 producing 460 horsepower, delivers performance with a sophistication that would have seemed impossible in 1969. The current Camaro SS, powered by the LT1 6.2L V8 making 455 horsepower, handles like a much smaller car while delivering the focused intensity that has always defined the Camaro experience. The magnetic ride suspension and sophisticated chassis tuning make it genuinely capable on a road course. Not just effective in a straight line, it's the car the original Camaro engineers would have built if they'd had today's technology and understanding of chassis dynamics. After comparing performance figures, cultural impact, and engineering approaches across 6 decades, the truth becomes clear. Choosing between a Mustang and Camaro isn't really about objective superiority. It's about which car speaks to your particular interpretation of the American automotive dream, a dream that both cars helped create and continue to define. The Mustang represents optimism and accessibility, the idea that performance and style should be available to everyone, not just the elite. It's the car that launched 1,000 dreams and continues to make them attainable. The Camaro embodies intensity and focus, the belief that if you're going to build a performance car, you should prioritize performance above all else, even if it means sacrificing some everyday practicality. In a world where electric vehicles and autonomous driving technology increasingly dominate the headlines, the fact that we still have these V8-powered reminders of America's automotive glory days feels like a gift. Both the Mustang and Camaro represent something irreplaceable. The idea that cars can be more than transportation, that they can be expressions of freedom, individuality, and the pursuit of pure automotive joy. What do you think? Are you Team Mustang or Team Camaro? Drop a comment below and tell us about your dream garage. And if you enjoyed this deep dive into American automotive history, smash that like button and subscribe. Since 1967, the Chevrolet Camaro has been America's answer to the pony car wars, a machine forged in rivalry, speed, and style. From drag strips to Main Street, it's carried generations of drivers into the heart of the muscle car dream. Today, we trace every chapter of its unstoppable evolution. The story of the Camaro begins in 1967, when Chevrolet introduced it as a direct response to the runaway success of the Ford Mustang. The pony car segment had been created just a few years earlier, and Chevy wanted a competitor that could match the Mustang's mix of style, performance, and affordability. The first-generation Camaro arrived for the 1967 model year, born from Chevrolet's determination to compete directly with Ford's Mustang in the rapidly growing pony car segment. America's car culture at the time was driven by youth, speed, and style, and the Camaro fit right in. It had a long hood, short deck, and bold lines that gave it a confident presence on the road. Buyers could choose between a coupe or convertible with multiple trim levels to match different tastes and budgets. The Rally Sport package added hidden headlights and unique exterior trim, while the Super Sport brought more aggressive looks and stronger performance hardware. Under the hood, there was a wide range of engines, from practical inline sixes to small block and big block V8s. The 327 cubic inch V8 produced 210 horsepower, but performance enthusiasts often went for the SS350, SS396, or the track-focused Z28 with its high-revving 302. That Z28 was designed with Trans Am racing in mind, offering a balance of handling and acceleration that made it a favorite among drivers who valued more than just straight-line speed. By 1969, the Camaro had earned a solid reputation as a true driver's car, capable both on the street and at the track. The second generation appeared in 1970, bringing a complete redesign that was lower, longer, and wider. Influenced by European sports car styling, it featured a wraparound rear window and smooth, flowing lines. In its early years, the Camaro still offered strong performance, with the SS396 and the Z28's LT1 350 delivering impressive power. American car culture was still performance-focused at the start of the decade, but the mood changed quickly. The oil crisis of 1973, new emissions regulations, and rising insurance costs began to squeeze the life out of the muscle car market. By the mid-1970s, the Camaro's bumpers grew larger to meet federal safety rules, and horsepower figures dropped as engines were tuned for fuel economy and emissions compliance. Even so, the Camaro remained popular, with trims like the Rally Sport, the luxury-oriented LT, and the Z28, which, despite losing some performance edge, still delivered a sporty driving experience and distinctive style. This generation's long run through 1981 proved its appeal, even in a challenging market. The third generation launched in 1982, marking a significant departure from the past. It rode on a new platform that was lighter and more modern, with sharper lines and improved aerodynamics. The design reflected the changing look of American cars in the 1980s, more angular, with large glass areas and a lower profile. This was the first Camaro to feature hatchback body styles and a truly driver-focused interior. Fuel injection began to replace carburetors, improving drivability and efficiency. Early base models were modest in performance, but the Z28 remained the enthusiast's choice, and the introduction of the IROC Z in 1985 elevated the Camaro's image. Named after the International Race of Champions series, the IROC Z offered upgraded suspension, performance tires, and distinctive styling cues that made it an icon of the decade. Engine choices ranged from economical four-cylinders to the beloved 305 and 350 cubic inch V8s, with output gradually increasing toward the end of the generation as performance made a comeback. By the early 1990s, the Camaro had fully embraced the era's blend of technology and speed, setting the stage for its next evolution. The fourth generation arrived in 1993, bringing the most aerodynamic and modern Camaro yet. By the early 90s, American car culture was in a period of change. Performance was coming back after the slower years of the 70s and early 80s, and technology was advancing quickly. The new Camaro featured smooth, flowing bodywork with a sharply raked windshield and integrated bumpers, making it look more like a sports coupe than a traditional muscle car. Under the hood, the early models carried the 3.4-liter V6 or the LT1 5.7-liter V8, borrowed from the Corvette, delivering up to 275 horsepower. In 1998, the big news was the introduction of the all-aluminum LS1 V8 in the Z28 and SS models, boosting output to 305 and later 325 horsepower, and bringing serious speed back to the Camaro lineup. Special trims like the 30th Anniversary Edition in 1997 and the SS with its functional hood scoop kept the excitement alive. Despite strong performance, changing market trends and declining sales led GM to end Camaro production after the 2002 model year, leaving fans wondering if the nameplate would ever return. That return came in 2010 with the launch of the fifth generation, after an 8-year break. American car enthusiasts had been waiting, and the Camaro came back in style. The design was inspired by the first-generation models with a bold, retro-modern look that honored the past while embracing modern proportions and safety standards. Built on a new Zeta platform, the car was larger and more solid-feeling with improved handling and comfort. Engine choices ranged from a 304 horsepower V6 to the 426 horsepower 6.2-liter V8 in the SS. For those who wanted even more, the ZL1 arrived in 2012 with a supercharged V8 producing 580 horsepower, making it the most powerful Camaro ever built at the time. Other notable models included the track-focused 1LE and the Copo Camaro Drag Racing Special. This generation re-established the Camaro as a serious contender in the modern muscle car wars and brought a whole new wave of younger fans alongside the loyalists who had been there from the beginning. The sixth generation debuted in 2016, moving to the lighter and more agile Alpha platform, also used by Cadillac performance sedans. By now, American performance cars were expected to offer not just power, but precise handling and advanced technology, and the Camaro delivered on both fronts. The styling became sharper and more compact, with improved aerodynamics and a more driver-focused cockpit. The SS featured the 6.2-liter LT1 V8 producing 455 horsepower, while the ZL1 pushed the limits with a 650 horsepower supercharged LT4, advanced cooling systems, and track-tuned suspension. Even the four-cylinder turbo and V6 models offered strong performance for their class, showing the Camaro could adapt to changing demands. Special trims like the 1LE handling package for multiple engine options and the ZL1 1LE Track Edition proved that the Camaro was not only a straight-line machine, but also a capable track car. By embracing modern engineering while keeping its muscle car soul, the sixth generation earned respect from critics and enthusiasts alike, securing its place as one of the most versatile and capable Camaros ever built. If you're enjoying this Camaro journey, hit that subscribe button and share your favorite Camaro generation in the comments. We'd love to hear your story. "60 years ago, a legend burst forth from Dearborn and transformed everything. The Ford Mustang is not just a car, it is a rolling piece of Americana. Since the 17th of April, 1964, when the first production model rolled off the assembly line, the Mustang has embodied the dreams and aspirations of generations of American drivers. From suburban driveways to Hollywood films, from drag strips to cross-country journeys, no other automobile has captured the essence of freedom, performance, and style quite like the pony car that started it all. First-generation Lee Iacocca's vision was simple yet revolutionary: create an affordable sports car that ordinary people could buy and enjoy. The original Mustang, built on the compact Falcon platform, struck a perfect balance between performance and practicality. That first model year, technically a 1964 and a half, featured clean, aggressive lines with the iconic galloping horse grille emblem that would become synonymous with American muscle. The early years offered everything from economical inline-six engines to thunderous big-block engines. The 289 small-block engine became the heartbeat of the performance models, while the legendary 390, 427, and 428 Cobra Jet big-block engines turned the Mustang into a true tire-shredding beast. The fastback body style, introduced in 1965, gave rise to the GT 350 and GT 500 Shelby variants, Carroll Shelby's racing-bred interpretations that pushed the boundaries of what a production pony car could be. By 1969, the Boss 302 and Boss 429 had solidified the Mustang's reputation on both street and track. The cultural impact was undeniable. Steve McQueen's Highland Green Fastback and Bullet became as iconic as the man himself. The original generation sold over 3 million units, proving that Americans craved affordable performance wrapped in distinctive style. Second generation. The Mustang II era remains controversial among enthusiasts, but context is key. The 1973 oil crisis forced Detroit to adapt, and Ford's response was a dramatic downsizing. Built on the Pinto platform, the Mustang II was smaller, lighter, and more fuel-efficient, qualities that muscle car fans were not eager to embrace. The base four-cylinder engine and optional 2.8-liter V6 engine were economical but lackluster. The 302 V8 engine returned later in the generation, but emissions regulations had significantly reduced its power. Despite the performance slump, the Mustang II sold well, nearly 1.1 million units over 5 years, proving Ford's decision was commercially sound, even if it left enthusiasts wanting more. The King Cobra package in 1978 tried to recapture some performance allure with bold graphics and improved handling, but it was largely cosmetic. The Mustang II kept the nameplate alive during one of the darkest periods in American automotive history, paving the way for the performance revival to come. Third generation. The Fox body Mustang marked a turning point. Ford's new platform was lighter, stiffer, and offered genuine performance potential. The 1979 redesign featured crisp, angular lines that reflected contemporary design trends while preserving Mustang DNA. More importantly, Ford was dedicated to restoring real performance. The 5.0-liter high-output V8, introduced in 1982, became legendary. Producing around 225 horsepower in later years, the 5.0 HO delivered the straight-line performance that had been missing since the early 1970s. The LX 5.0 models, especially the notchback sedans, became sleepers that could outpace far more expensive European sports cars. Special editions thrived during this era. The SVO from 1984 to 1986 showcased Ford's turbocharging technology with a 2.3-liter four-cylinder engine that offered impressive power and exceptional handling. The 1993 Cobra, with its 235 horsepower 5.0 engine and distinctive styling cues, served as a fitting farewell to the Fox platform. The Fox body era restored the Mustang's performance credibility and established a thriving aftermarket that continues today. These cars were affordable, modifiable, and fast, everything a true Mustang should be. Fourth generation. The SN95 platform brought the Mustang into the modern era with smoother lines that paid tribute to the original, while incorporating contemporary safety and comfort standards. The base model featured Ford's new modular 3.8-liter V6 engine, while GT models received the 4.6-liter modular V8, initially producing 215 horsepower. The 1996 Cobra introduced the 4.6-liter double-overhead cam V8, and the 1999 to 2001 Cobra models, particularly the supercharged 2003 to 2004 Terminator Cobras, delivered serious performance with 390 and 480 horsepower, respectively. The Mach 1 returned in 2003 to 2004, bridging the gap between GT and Cobra with its naturally aspirated double-overhead cam engine and aggressive styling. This generation established the Mustang's modern foundation while maintaining its affordable performance philosophy. Independent rear suspension was still absent, keeping costs down and ensuring the Mustang stayed true to its everyman sports car roots. Fifth-generation Ford's designers hit the mark with the S197 platform, creating a modern take on the classic 1965 to 1970 Mustang aesthetic. The retro styling resonated deeply with enthusiasts who grew up with the original cars, while modern engineering delivered contemporary performance and safety. The 4.6-liter V8 continued in GT models, eventually replaced by the remarkable 5.0-liter Coyote V8 in 2011, a naturally aspirated masterpiece producing 412 horsepower. The supercharged Shelby GT 500 variants pushed boundaries further, culminating in the 662 horsepower 2013 to 2014 models that could rival supercars. The Boss 302 returned in 2012 to 2013, offering track-focused performance that honored the original while delivering modern capability. These cars proved the Mustang could compete with European rivals on road courses, not just drag strips. Sixth generation. The ESA 550 platform marked the Mustang's evolution into a truly global sports car. Independent rear suspension finally arrived, transforming the car's handling while preserving its distinctive character. Ford's EcoBoost 2.3-liter turbo four-cylinder engine provided impressive performance and fuel economy, while the 5.0-liter Coyote V8 continued to deliver naturally aspirated thrills. The Shelby GT 350 and GT 350R introduced the flat-plane crank 5.2-liter Voodoo V8, a masterpiece of engineering that revved to 8,250 revolutions per minute. The GT 500 returned with a supercharged 5.2-liter engine producing 760 horsepower, setting new benchmarks for American performance. Seventh generation. The latest Mustang builds on the S550's successful foundation while incorporating modern technology and refined aesthetics. The interior features digital displays and advanced connectivity, but the core Mustang character remains unchanged. The naturally aspirated 5.0-liter V8 continues to serve as the emotional centerpiece, while turbo four-cylinder models offer efficiency without sacrificing engagement. Ford has committed to preserving the Mustang's manual transmission and naturally aspirated V8, recognizing that some things should not be improved with technology. The Dark Horse trim level promises track-focused performance, while traditional GT models maintain the perfect balance of power and daily drivability. The Ford Mustang stands as more than just an automobile. It is a living symbol of American automotive culture, individual freedom, and the pursuit of performance. Through economic downturns, regulatory challenges, and shifting consumer preferences, the Mustang has adapted while never losing its soul. From the original 1964 that launched the pony car segment to today's sophisticated yet emotional modern interpretations, each generation has reflected its era while upholding the core values that make a Mustang unmistakably American. The distinctive silhouette, the rumble of V8 power, and the promise of open-road adventure continue to resonate with new generations of enthusiasts. In a world increasingly dominated by electric vehicles and autonomous driving, the Mustang represents something irreplaceably human: the joy of driving, the satisfaction of mechanical connection, and the freedom to choose your own path. After 60 years, the legend continues to evolve while honoring its heritage. Which generation holds the keys to your heart? It's 1966. Muscle cars are exploding onto American streets, and Dodge drops a bombshell that would become one of the most iconic names in automotive history. The Charger wasn't just another car, it was a statement, a promise, and the beginning of a legend that's still burning rubber today. The mid-60s were pure automotive magic. Ford had the Mustang tearing up sales charts, GM was flexing with the Camaro and Chevelle, and Chrysler knew they needed something special to compete. Enter the 1966 Dodge Charger, a full-size muscle car built on the proven B-body platform that already underpinned the Coronet. But this wasn't your grandfather's family sedan. The original Charger was all about presence. That distinctive fastback roofline, the hidden headlights behind that aggressive grille, and those taillights that wrapped around the rear like angry eyes, this was Detroit saying, "We're not playing games." The first-generation Charger came standard with a 318 cubic inch V8, but the real excitement started with the optional power plants. The 383 cubic inch big block pumped out a solid 325 horsepower, while the legendary 426 Hemi, yeah, that Hemi, delivered a earth-shaking 425 horses. These weren't just numbers on paper, they translated to quarter-mile times that made other manufacturers nervous. Inside, Dodge went all out with bucket seats, a center console, and full instrumentation that made you feel like you were piloting a fighter jet rather than driving to work. The interior was pure 60s muscle, functional, purposeful, and ready for business. Then came 1968, and everything changed. The second-generation Charger landed like a thunderbolt, and suddenly everyone else was playing catch-up. This was the Charger that would define the nameplate forever. That Coke bottle shape, the recessed grille, and proportions that still look perfect today. The '68 model year brought serious performance credentials. The RT package, road track for those keeping score, came standard with either the 440 Magnum or that monster 426 Hemi. We're talking about engines that could propel nearly 2 tons of Detroit steel from 0 to 60 in under 6 seconds. In 1968, that was borderline supernatural. But it was 1969 that truly cemented the Charger's legend. The styling got even more aggressive with that split grille and those round taillights that became instantly recognizable. More importantly, this was the year that introduced the world to some serious speed demons. The Charger 500 was built specifically for NASCAR. featuring aerodynamic improvements that helped Dodge dominate the superspeedways. And then there was the Charger Daytona, possibly the wildest production car ever to roll out of Detroit. That massive rear wing and extended nose cone weren't just for show. They helped the Daytona become the first production car to crack 200 mph. Only 505 were built, making it rarer than hen's teeth today. If you're digging this deep dive into American muscle, hit that subscribe button and drop a comment. Which generation Charger gets your heart racing? The classic lines of the second gen, or are you holding out for something newer? Let's hear it. Speaking of legends, we can't talk Chargers without mentioning a certain orange blur that terrorized Hazard County. The General Lee made the '69 Charger a household name, though it probably destroyed more examples than any other single factor in automotive history. Still, that car sliding across America's TV screens every week turned the Charger into a cultural icon that transcended the automotive world. But Hollywood wasn't the only place Chargers were making noise. On the drag strips and NASCAR ovals, these cars were serious business. Richard Petty's Charger Daytona won 27 races in 1970, including Petty's third Daytona 500. The aerodynamic package was so effective that NASCAR eventually banned it, but not before Dodge proved their point. Then the '70s happened and the oil crisis changed everything. The Charger lineup slowly morphed from tire-smoking street terror to something more practical. The third generation, running from 1971 to 1974, was still recognizably a Charger. But the magic was fading. The styling became more conservative, and while you could still get a Hemi through 1971, the writing was on the wall. By 1975, the Charger name was slapped on what was essentially a Cordoba coupe, a far cry from the tire-melting beasts of the previous decade. The late '70s and early '80s were particularly painful for Charger fans. The name survived, but on front-wheel drive compacts and economy cars that shared nothing with the original concept except badges. For true believers, these were dark times indeed. For nearly 20 years, the Charger name disappeared entirely from Dodge showrooms. Then, in 2006, something miraculous happened. Dodge announced they were bringing back the Charger name, and this time they meant business. The new car was a four-door sedan, controversial at first, but it packed serious heat under the hood and styling that clearly referenced the classic second-generation cars. The LX platform gave Dodge a solid foundation, and the engine lineup was impressive from day one. The base V6 was fine for daily driving, but the real excitement came with the Hemi engines. The 5.7-liter produced 340 horsepower, while the 6.1-liter in the SRT8 pumped out a massive 425 horses, the same number as the original '71 Hemi, but with modern reliability and efficiency. The styling struck the right notes too. That aggressive grille, the muscular proportions, and details like the round taillights clearly said Charger without being a retro cartoon. This was a modern interpretation of a classic theme, and it worked. The current generation Charger, introduced in 2011, took everything up another notch. The styling became even more aggressive and the engine options got seriously wild. The 6.4-liter SRT 392 delivers 485 horsepower, but that's just the warm-up act. The real star is the Hellcat, a supercharged 6.2-liter beast that produces a tire-shredding 707 horsepower. This isn't just powerful, it's dangerously, hilariously, wonderfully excessive. 0 to 60 in 3.6 seconds from a four-door sedan? That's supercar territory, and it comes with a back seat and a trunk. Then Dodge went completely insane and created the Hellcat Red-Eye, pumping out 797 horsepower. And just when you thought they'd lost their minds completely, they announced the Jailbreak Edition with 807 horses. These aren't just muscle cars. They're rolling statements that American excess is alive and well. The quarter-mile performance numbers are equally staggering. A Hellcat Red-Eye can reportedly run the quarter in the mid-10-second range straight from the factory, numbers that required serious modifications just a generation ago. Modern Chargers haven't forgotten their racing roots. In NASCAR, the Charger body has been competitive in the Cup Series, continuing a tradition that stretches back to those early superspeedway battles. While the cars are purpose-built race machines that share little with their showroom counterparts, the name continues to represent Dodge's performance heritage. On the drag strip, Hellcat-powered Chargers are rewriting the rulebook. Stock examples running in the tens, modified cars dipping well into the single digits, it's a level of performance that would have seemed impossible in the original muscle car era. From that first fastback in 1966 to today's supercharged monsters, the Charger has remained true to its core mission, delivering maximum American muscle with attitude to spare. It's been a wild ride, and somehow we get the feeling the best chapters might still be ahead. The Dodge Charger, proving that sometimes the best way to build a legend is to never stop pushing the boundaries of what's possible.